Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
That is terrifying.
A USU football player is in jail accused of sexual assault. We'll tell you who witnesses say stopped him before the police arrived.
It's going to be an all-hands-on-deck effort.
We'll show you how you can help fight against the fastest growing criminal industry in the world.
I'm a football coach because I didn't want to grow up. I wanted to be a kid the rest of my life.
Aggie football has a new man at the helm, and he tells us what he did to unify the team after last season.
The sun's hitting these flowers today. I'll show you when April showers might in weather.
In sports, there's an Aggie going to nationals, but not in cleats, tennis, or running shoes.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
It's disappointing when you choose to represent your school in that way.
Police say this dorm in the Living Learning community is where a Utah State football player sexually assaulted students. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Robinson Miles.
And I'm Annika Johns. Ismail Vaifou is in jail today facing 2 felony and 2 misdemeanor charges. ATV reporter William Boltez broke the story and joins us live to give us an update on the case.
Thanks, Annika. Yeah, University police responded to a call here at about 3:30 in the morning on Sunday that Vaifou was going through the building, entering unlocked women's apartments, and witnesses say he sexually assaulted at least 1 woman. It was actually residents from the building who said they confronted Vaifou, got him out of the building, and held him until police arrived. University police then charged Ismail Vaifou with a felony forcible sex abuse and burglary and a misdemeanor trespass and intoxication. Residents from the LLC say they're shaken up about the event.
It's kind of sad, to think that could happen.
Ismail Vaifou is a 6'3", 225-pound football player and a resident of Building D at the LLC.
He was wandering around Building D, going into girls' dorms. Pretty gross, disturbing things.
But students say they trust authorities to handle the case.
I put my trust in Utah State that it'll be handled in the correct way.
I know USU will handle it in the way they're supposed to, and I hope it'll all get taken care of. I've always felt pretty safe on this campus.
USU Athletics say that Ismail Vaifou is suspended from the football team, and university officials say he is not allowed back on campus. He is being held at the Cache County Jail. University officials also say that they are going to help the victims of the event through their trauma. Reporting live from the LLC, William Boltez, ATV News.
Thanks, William. Does Vaifou have any bail set or court date yet?
No, there's no bail set yet or any court date set.
Thanks, William.
A man is dead after he rolled a truck into the Logan River. Witnesses say the truck was swerving across the road before it ended up in the river. They rescued the passenger before emergency crews arrived.
They were yelling for a crowbar. I got my crowbar out, and then when he got my chain out, big long chain, and the semi pulls up and hooks onto the truck so it can open him up.
Utah Highway Patrol says the driver died before they could get him out of the truck, but the passenger got out with just some scrapes.
It was a really good effort. It's amazing how there's so many good people out here that are just willing to stop and help.
Highway Patrol thinks the driver was drunk when he crashed the truck.
The Sheriff's Office took a teacher from Spring Creek Middle School into custody after the school district filed reports of the teacher assaulting students. Cache County School District awarded Scott Meeker with the Hats Off Award last year for dedication to teaching and finding ways to connect with students. The Sheriff's Office says,
teachers are under a lot of stress, just like everyone else is. And in this situation, we're still trying to find out exactly why, but it appeared that this particular teacher just basically really lost his cool, lost control.
Reporters say one student was engaged in horseplay when the teacher pushed a student against the wall. Then the teacher was provoked. He pushed through a crowd of students and hit one on the back of the head. The Sheriff's Office says there were 5 victims, but their investigation is ongoing.
The Malou Foundation is fighting against human trafficking. Kiki Tuileta has their messages of strength and their call to change.
This is not just a third world problem, that it's right next door.
The conference room was filled with leaders and survivors who came to educate and share their stories.
It needs to be addressed more. We need more media presence. We need more discussions in our community. It is a very uncomfortable issue to talk about, and it's easier to look away and close our eyes and mouth.
But these survivors say
People being willing to open their mouth about it is scary, but I think that's how we stop it, is people not being afraid to talk about it and to put it on social media.
the Center for Homeland Security says human trafficking is the second largest and fastest growing criminal industry in the world, profiting $99 billion a year. The U.S. Department of Justice says over 200,000 American children are victims of sex trafficking each year. The Exodus Road organization says 90% of the trafficking starts in their own home.
The leaders that came together say human trafficking is a moral dilemma that goes beyond any social, political, or economic boundary. They say it's a problem that affects all of us.
I had great neighbors. I looked like the typical mother next door, and yet I was being trafficked. So nobody is immune from this. No demographic, nothing. Nobody is immune.
To everyone in this room and to everyone everywhere, really, I would first say, whether you know that you know someone has been abused or not, you do know someone who has been abused.
The survivors received standing ovations from supportive attendants at the end of their panels. Kiki Tuileta, ATV News.
Trainings on how to recognize and stop human trafficking situations are available from the link on our Facebook page.
People in Utah are reacting to the George Floyd trial verdict. A Minnesota jury found Derek Chauvin guilty on 3 charges: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Chauvin could face up to 40 years in prison for second-degree murder, up to 25 years for third-degree murder, and up to 10 years for second-degree manslaughter. Chauvin is looking at a maximum of 75 years in prison, but it is possible that his sentence won't be that long since he has no previous convictions. People marched in Salt Lake yesterday after the verdict. Salt Lake police were closing off streets a block on every side of the march. Utah Highway Patrol was on standby at the Capitol.
With cases like George Floyd's happening in the past year, USU students created a research proposal they hope will decrease the number of unarmed black men and women shot and killed by police. The proposal addresses anger race bias, which researchers define as the tendency to misidentify expressions of emotion, specifically anger, in black or racially ambiguous faces. Researchers say they have high hopes for this proposal.
I'm hoping that this study can kind of spark that change for people to recognize that everyone has good inside of them. No one is innately bad.
We know that people misidentify emotions. And so basically what we're wanting to do is say, okay, we know that this is a problem, and now we want to actually see if we can fix it.
Researchers say because of anger race bias and misidentification of emotions, police often perceive black suspects as more hostile and dangerous than white suspects. They also say that unarmed minorities are twice as likely as their white counterparts to be shot at by police. If the proposal is approved, officers will receive training to learn how to quickly identify emotions on black, white, and Asian faces. In the proposal, researchers use these pictures to show examples of what officers will be trained on. They say that officers will break down parts of the face, like placement of eyebrows, eyelids, and mouth movement, to determine if the person is angry, fearful, or neutral.
The whole point of this then is to teach people to recognize when they have implicit bias and to find ways to try to overcome it so that way we can stop acting on it.
Davis and Russo say they will continue to work on the proposal through the rest of the semester and plan on submitting it to the Ethical Review Board within the next month. Davis says she plans on continuing on working with the project through the summer and next semester as well.
You can find a link to the study on our Facebook page. And coming up,
communication and strengthening family ties.
We'll show you how Parents Empowered uses this scavenger hunt to bring parents closer to their children.
Today I got to sit down with head coach Blake Anderson, head coach of the football team. We talked about recruiting, we talked about what his plans are for the team, and we talked about what he likes about Aggie ice cream. So stay tuned.
Coming up in weather, Jonathan May will have the 7-day forecast. The current temperature is 58 degrees.
In Utah, 1 in 8 women and 1 in 50 men will be raped. Also in Utah, 1 in 3 women will experience sexual violence. Of the completed and attempted rapes against college women, less than 5% will actually be reported. Sexual assault should not be a part of the college experience. Always get consent.
Consent for sexual activity is enthusiastic.
Consent is sober.
Consent is non-coerced.
Consent is verbal.
Consent is mutual.
If you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault, report it at reportingsa.usu.edu.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome to this edition of ATV Weather. I'm Jonathan May, and this is the National Radar. And as we take a look at our National Radar here, we can see some dark spots here on the map, and my colleagues have pointed out in the past is those dark spots mean that there is some clouds and some chances of rain. And those green spots here means that rain is more likely to be taking place. And as we look across the whole map, we can see that these clouds are moving towards the east, and that could have led to those high amounts of gusts of wind that we received earlier today. And as we look at the state radar, we can see that it's pretty clear in the Beehive State today. Not much going down here in southern Utah, but up in northern Utah, we got some scattered clouds. But good news is the gusts of wind, the miles an hour, have gone down to 12 miles an hour, which is a lot different than earlier. Students were met with gusts of wind walking to campus, but like I said, those gusts of winds have gone down. Turned out to be a pretty nice day outside, and I know you didn't ask me my opinion, but I'm giving it to you. And as we look at the 7-day forecast here, we can see high today, 58, high tomorrow, 61, and high Friday, 61. Should be a nice way to end our weekday and then go into the weekend with a high of 65 on Saturday and a high of 62 on Sunday. But that's when things start to get a little juicy, if you ask me. We got some chance of a rain moving in early next week on Monday and Tuesday. Monday we have a high of 53 with about a 30% chance of precipitation. And then on Tuesday we have a high of 56 with a 50% chance of precipitation. Now you're all caught up on ATV weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Jonathan. Now for an update on the number of COVID-19 cases in Utah. There have been over 2,000 new cases in Utah, with over 15,000 active and over 393,000 total. In Cache County, there have been 79 new cases, with 600 active and over 15,000 total. At Utah State, there have been 6 new cases, with over 20,000 active and over 3,000 total.
A research project that asked Utah women how they were affected by the pandemic is published. Leah Krishoni shows us why COVID had a bigger effect on women than men.
We closed down. I lost my job for a month.
Jane Clayton is a cosmetologist and lost her job at a salon due to the pandemic.
Had that job for a month before they called a meeting and told everybody that they had to close down because of COVID, and they had lost so many funds because it slowed down the industry so much that they just couldn't afford rent anymore, so they had to completely shut down.
Jane became self-employed and no longer qualified for unemployment.
This time around, I wasn't able to get any unemployment benefits or anything because I was self-employed. So I wasn't able to get any type of benefits. I was completely just living off my savings account while I was trying to find a job.
Sarah Popick is a server at a restaurant and also lost her job due to the pandemic.
I got a call at like 5:30 from my boss, and she told me that
they were laying everyone off for the time being.
Each of these dollar bills represents one of the women who answered the survey. About 16% of the 3,542 said they lost their job due to the pandemic. That means about one of these have lost their job.
We had high numbers of women who were in retail and food services and hospitality. Of course, many of those industries were totally shut down, right? They were totally shut down, and so they were the hardest hit.
The research project also studied the mental health of women who worked in and out of the home.
We saw that all of those groups indicated, that they somewhat agreed on average with the statement that their mental health declined.
I'm a workaholic. I work 40 hours a week. I go to school full time, and not having work was really hard on me because I rely on it. And I pay for myself to go to school, and not having the income coming in all the time was stressing me out.
Leah Krishoni, ATV News.
You can find a link to the full study on our Facebook page.
Parents Empowered had a scavenger hunt in the Wasatch Mountain State Park for children and their parents. Families searched the trails for signs that encourage parents to spend time with their children and to keep them in safe, alcohol-free environments. After completing the scavenger hunt, the kids got prize bags with flashlights, survival kits, binoculars, whistles, and more.
It helps produce the environment for more interaction individually and as a family.
The event featured a press conference for Parents Empowered where they introduced their new partnership with the community. All right, so did you know that according to Parents Empowered, the #1 deterrent for children to drink alcohol is their parents' disapproval?
You know, that makes sense why they wanted to make this event a little more family-centric rather than just focusing on the kids. And coming up, Cooper Jones made a 2-yard run into the end zone in the final seconds of the spring game Saturday. Kaylee Foster tells you the offense's biggest hurdle, and it wasn't the defense.
It feels so good to be back, I can't even tell you.
We'll show you who performed at the end of the year bash.
Can you concern with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now. No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden passion. Come on, have a good time. Living states of inspiration to motivate some magic. To change the writing on the wall, writing on the wall. One book can make a difference. One book can inspire a child. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life. People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again. But an awkward silence can be a great thing, like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Kyle Van Leeuwen caught a 39-yard pass from quarterback Cooper Lagau on Saturday in the annual football spring game. More on that coming up. Welcome to ATV Sports. I'm Kaylee Foster. USU competed at the UVU rodeo over the weekend. This is Zane Foy wrestling a steer. He got third place at the college. He got third place and qualified for the college national finals rodeo in June. Now let's watch that again. As you see, he hops off his horse and loses his hat, but gets the steer. The track team competed in 2 invitational meets over the weekend in Pocatello, Idaho, and Norman, Oklahoma. Katie Haviland was named the American First Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week after breaking records in the 5,000 meters in Pocatello. In softball, Stephanie Reed scored the first run of the day against Boise State on Sunday with a home run in the third. Boise scored more, winning all 3 games of the series. The Aggie football team tested next season's offense and defense Saturday with the annual Blue versus White spring game. The Aggies scored on this play, but this was a scrimmage, not a real game. The offense scores normally, and the defense gets points on big defensive plays. The Aggies went into the scrimmage with several injuries on the offensive line. There were only 7 okay to play. This left the offensive team with few substitutions available. The offense beat the defense 53-46. Coach Anderson says everyone should be healed up by the fall. In men's tennis, Javier Ruiz won a singles match against Air Force on Friday. Utah State won 4 of the 6 matches, but lost in doubles, beating Air Force 4-2. Gabrielle Deckers won her singles match on Sunday, helping Utah State overtake Nevada for the team win. Blake Anderson is the new man at the head of the USU football team earlier today. Robinson Miles sat down one-on-one to get to know him a little better.
A lot of the historic coaches people know about, especially going back to the past few decades, are known as being authoritarians and just tough-nosed. And one thing you've been really open about is faith, family, fun. Yeah. Something I've seen a lot all over social media. That's a big thing. You've done those big team competitions, focus on lots of games and things like that. Yeah. What's the importance of prioritizing stuff like that?
Well, we're going to work really, really hard. I mean, we tell our guys in the recruiting process, nobody's going to outwork us. Nobody's going to outrun us. We don't make any apologies for how hard we're going to push you and how accountable you're going to be held to. The discipline and all those things are in place, but balance is important. Balance is important in life, and in marriage, it's just as important in football. And I just don't feel like the environment that we're going to be our best if we grind all the time. So we need to balance in. We're kids. I'm a football coach because I didn't want to grow up. You know, I wanted to be a kid the rest of my life. So we try to create opportunities where kids can decompress, can laugh, can enjoy the process, because we're going to turn right back around the very next day and we're going to grind at it. So I think we found a good balance that works for us. It clearly has worked in the past, and we were successful in the same kind of environment at Arkansas State with championships there and competitive at a really high level. So I'm very clear with guys in the front end too. I'm not that guy that's going to scream and holler at you. I'm going to ask you to do what we need you to do. I'm going to hold you accountable to it if you don't do it. And you know, if you're afraid of hard work, don't come.
Last season for this team, it was a hard one for the Aggie program, you know, not only in their record, but also Gary Anderson leaving, and then there was some controversy about how the season ended. You came in right at the tail of that. What was your focus to come in and maybe bring some more unity to the team, or how did you approach that?
You know, I took over the job at Arkansas State. I was the 5th head coach in a 5-year period. It was random. It never happens. Probably will never happen again. But I took over a program with a bunch of guys that really didn't trust the process. He's just going to come, stay for a year, and leave as well. And I felt like what I was getting into here was very similar. A lot had happened the last 2 years. Kids were unsure about how everything went down, frustrated with the process. COVID was obviously tough for everybody as well, and how the season went. So I just took the same approach. My first goal was just to let them know who I was, and let them know also that I knew it was going to take a while before they really trusted me, and that I didn't expect it overnight. I was just going to come in and be me every day, bring a staff of guys I think they would enjoy being around, and we were just going to come to work every day and give them time to get past all of that and give them an opportunity to see who we're going to be. And what I think we've done since December is I think we've built a level of trust that we can really now start taking some big steps forward in the program, and this spring's been big for us.
Do you or your family have any favorite places or favorite things about Logan so far?
I've enjoyed every little bit of it. You know, snowboarding, several times, ton of great food, the scenery, you never get tired of seeing the mountains when you wake up or when you're going to bed. And just honestly, for me as a coach, the culture and the environment around a true college town and a true college environment, that's not something you get. I mean, you go coach at a place, but it's a commuter school, or they've got an NFL program in the area, or another school that kind of pulls your fan base. This is to me, I love the environment and community that we have, and it's something we can build on.
Robinson also asked about the coach's life off the field, what got him started in football, and the benefits of a diverse coaching staff. You can watch the full interview on our Facebook page. You're all caught up on ATV Sports. Back to you, Annika.
Thanks, Kaylee. People are wearing more of the National Parks t-shirts after the End of Year Bash concert last Friday. Student Events held a concert featuring bands The Solarist, Michael Barrow, and The Tourist, and Brother.
Y'all still doing all right, Utah State?
The National Parks headlined the concert. Bands said they were glad they could perform since last March.
You could be on TV. Utah State will be featured in the Amazon show The College Tour. The College Tour visits schools to show what life is really like there. Past episodes include Fort Lewis, Florida Tech, Arizona State, and East Tennessee State.
So we're really hoping the students that submit their stories and give us a taste of what their experience has been will help us shape what our episode looks like.
USU is accepting casting applications for the show, set to shoot this summer. Applications are due April 30th.
ATV students won 7 awards from the Society of Professional Journalists 2021 Mark of Excellence Awards.
Cash Rendezvous Holiday Show was the winner of the All-Around News Magazine category. 5 students won individual awards.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
You can find previous editions on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with some shots from Logan City Limits.
Have a great week, Aggies.
Scarce and meant for kings. You are gold. Thank you so much, Utah State. That was beautiful. It feels so good to be back, I can't even tell you. Concerts are back, y'all!
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you. And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman. You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.